It's often said by engine crews that steam engines are, to some degree, alive. Whether or not you fully believe that is up to you, but that does raise the question. If some steam engines can be considered alive, does that mean they have personalities? And, by extension, does that mean they can be malicious? Most people would say no, they're just hunks of metal after all, but there is one engine that challenges that theory. In 1925, the Baldwin Locomotive Works produced an 0660 Mallet engine designed for logging work on 3-foot 6-inch gauge rails. Fitted with Walschaerts valve gear, a cabbage spark arrestor, and a wood-burning firebox, despite being narrow gauge, it was quite the powerful machine, with a tractive effort of roughly 29,000 pounds. Destined for the Philippines, it operated as part of the Insular Lumber Company, being numbered 7 but mostly referred to as chete. Chete quickly proved its worth, frequently pulling 32 loaded cars each weighing around 30 tons up and down the line, tackling grades of up to 5%. While an exceptional performer, chete became somewhat infamous among the railwaymen that worked with it, with many regarding it as dangerous. Despite being designed to negotiate tight bends and awkward tracks, chete was known to frequently derail and break down almost daily. These, combined with the lumber company's likely laid-back approach to safety, often led to serious injury and, in a few cases, death. As much as workers resented the engine, its ability to move heavier loads at higher speeds than the other engines on the line meant it was used often, causing further accidents. And it wasn't just minor bumps and jumping the tracks that cemented chete's reputation as a death trap. During its career at the lumber company, it was involved in 2 major accidents. The first was caused by a landslide as the result of heavy rains. Chete was travelling down the line one night along a hillside when the earth gave way, resulting in the engine being swept downhill and into the river below. Given how important it was to the railway, the company wasted little time retrieving it, dismantling it where it lay and dragging the pieces back up to the rails where they were taken away and put back together. Years later, on the 2nd of September 1954, Chete would be involved in one of the most fatal rail accidents in the history of the Philippines. The engine was taking a heavy lumber train downhill, with many workers also riding on the wagons when 16 of them broke free and ran out of control. The engine, wagons, and workers all sped down the line and derailed over a wooden trestle, smashing the bridge to pieces. 5 of the wagons fell 100 feet into the ravine below, while the rest derailed. The chains holding the logs broke, throwing passengers off the wagons and crushing anyone and anything in the way as they fell. 82 people lost their lives as a result of the accident. Despite the incident, Chete continued to work for the lumber company for another 20 years, its reputation as a possessed or even cursed engine now practically cemented. Eventually, the lumber company ceased operation around 1976 and began the process of getting rid of its rolling stock. Number 7 was apparently sent to work on a sugarcane railway along with several other logging engines, however was never used due to track issues. As it was no longer of use, talks began of scrapping the engine when it was purchased by Edgar and Sonia Sorosa for preservation. It was cosmetically restored and donated to the local government of Sagay, where it was put on display at Sagay Public Plaza and has remained there ever since. As scary as Number 7 was, there are many who believe that its reputation as a possessed killer wasn't entirely its fault. It's believed that the rails it ran on were rough and poorly maintained, which, combined with its lack of any kind of pilot or guiding wheels, likely caused a lot of its derailing issues. On top of that, pictures of the Chete engines also used on the line show they were poorly maintained, and so it's fair to say that Number 7 was likely poorly maintained itself, which explains why it was notorious for breaking down. All the same, Chete is most certainly an interesting case. Engine men always say that every locomotive has its own personality. Some are quite fierce while others need a more gentle touch. Whether Number 7 was a possessed monster or just a misunderstood machine, I suppose shall remain a mystery. But let's just hope that, if they restore it, it won't cause any further trouble. Subscribe for more.